The good news is I think that we have got our technical issues figured out. So we're going to try this again. Again, I think we've got our technical issues figured out, so at least we can do this one again, and hopefully you guys can see the briefings that we are working on. So, again, let's go ahead and start this one up. What are we certain about on this time around? Well, we are certain that it's going to be colder this week. We are certain that overnight lows are going to be staying well below the freezing mark. Again, going to be certain that we are staying well below the freezing mark on many nights this coming week. And we are certain that the very cold wind chills will continue late tonight into Monday morning across the area. Where are we more uncertain? Again, we're more uncertain about the possibility of wintry precipitation later in the week. We are, and if we do get wintry precipitation, we are still very uncertain about what kind of totals we may be talking about and what kind of impacts it may or may not produce. So we're going to go through this little slide presentation and go through a couple other things real quick, and we'll see if you can see what we were talking about last time. Cold this week. Again, overnight lows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, well into the low to mid 20s across much of the area. A little warmer on Thursday, Friday. That's only because we are going to have a chance for some wintry precipitation across the area, and that's going to be including some more cloud cover. So that will keep temperatures up a little bit during the overnight hours. Again, cold weather advisory in effect for all of West Central Texas tonight. That includes areas north into Wichita Falls, east into Dallas, Fort Worth, and then southeast in toward Austin and San Antonio. We're talking about temperatures in the upper teens and low 20s for overnight lows across much of the area. Combining with north winds will drop off a little bit this evening, but even with 5 to 10 or 5 to 15 mile an hour winds, that's going to be dropping wind chills into the 5 to 15 degree range across much of the area. Again, for West Central Texas, this means a couple things. One, a lot of West Central Texas has had some below freezing temperatures already this year, but it was for an hour or two late at night, early in the morning, and didn't create too much of the way of any real problems. This is going to be a much longer time period with temperatures below freezing during the overnight hours. So if you haven't already covered your pipes outside, you probably need to have that done today. Otherwise, you're risking some pipe damage. Again, for any kids outside waiting on school buses again, I know most schools have probably started Tuesday morning, but for those starting Monday morning, if they're heading out at the bus stop or riding their bikes to school or whatever it may be, make sure that all exposed skin is covered. Again, wind chills 5 to 15 degrees can do a little bit of damage. Really, the main question that everyone's asking about is the possibilities for snow mid to late week. We look at probably 100 plus computer models. 100 is better than just looking at one that may bounce around a little bit at a time. So we kind of compare and contrast what all the models are doing, but they're really falling into to two main scenarios. The most likely scenario, which is up over 80% out of the computer models at this point, is a storm system off to the southwest, producing some wintry precipitation and some much colder conditions across West Central Texas, or really all of Texas, through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, that's about 80%, a little better than 80% of all of our 100 plus computer models. We will say that though that there is a subset, about a 20% chance, or 20% of all of our computer models that are keeping that system far enough off Baja California that we are able to get rid of the cold air a lot faster. And by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are relatively warm and dry. Again, with 80% of all of our models going wet and cold, that's the way we are taking the forecast at this point. But that 20% does create some uncertainty for us. Makes it a little more hard to provide details on exact amount of snow, exact amount of ice, or any real details that on impacts that may be possible, because we kind of have to keep that to 20% in mind when we're talking about the forecast. So again, we are leaning toward a colder and wetter solution, and that we're going to be dealing with and talking to you about. But keep in mind that there is, again, a solid 20% that's warmer and dry and not having any problems for West Central Texas. So those two scenarios are what we'll be keeping an eye on as we head through the forecast. Let's skip some of this since we've already covered a little bit of it. But again, temperature range in general for the upcoming week. This is San Angelo, Abilene, Brady, Brownwood. Not really any different. But high temperatures on Monday and Tuesday in the 40s. By the time we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we're likely staying in the 30s with more cloud cover and wintry precipitation in effect. The heavier the precipitation, the colder the conditions will be for Wednesday and Thursday. So don't lock these numbers in stone. We will be keeping an eye on this as we head closer to Wednesday and Thursday. We've had a few questions on Facebook about the chances for highs staying below freezing starting tonight. Again, that chances are not zero. By the time we get into, say, Wednesday and Thursday, there is a chance that temperatures will remain all the way below freezing for during the afternoon hours. So we're looking at some sort of, 24 to 48 hours of below freezing. Again, right now, looking at our probabilities, chances, we're only talking about maybe 20 to 30% chance of highs staying below freezing on Wednesday and into Thursday. So we think temperatures will be creeping up above freezing. That's the most likely forecast. And that does kind of help for road conditions. It does kind of help with pipes a little bit. But again, if things don't, fall quite the way we think they're going to be, then an extended period of time below freezing will have to be considered as well. So it's not zero. It's not the most likely scenario either at this point. Probability of at least 1 inch of snow. This is for Wednesday morning into Thursday morning. And again, we kind of have two sets of timing that we're going to be talking about. The first area is this little area of snow that may be coming out, again, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening into early Thursday morning. Chances of, an inch of snow, better out across the Permian Basin and Trans-Pecos perhaps. Not quite as good as you head into West Central Texas or the Concho Valley. Again, we're talking about these numbers are in the purples and blues, so we're talking maybe 20 or 30% chance of at least an inch of snow. The problem we're having with that is that as dry as we are as well, we could be snowing at 5,000 feet pretty good, but having a hard time reaching the ground because it's evaporating. So again, the impacts likely are pretty limited. We consider it low at this point because it's going to be having a hard time sticking to roadways as light as we think the precipitation will be falling. Again, likely as a light snow. So Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, we'll keep an eye on. But the chances of anything terribly impactful going on, may see some flurries around, but the odds of anything really bad going on for Wednesday afternoon is probably pretty small at this point. Better chances are Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, where we see the probability of at least an inch of snow. These are the oranges and more oranges, really, at 50 or 60% across the area. And again, that's all of West Central Texas. Better chance, a little bit better chances that across the Heartland, Brady, Brownwood, Coleman areas. And again, talk about the probability of at least 3 inches of snow with this little band of snow perhaps developing. Maybe 30% from San Angelo up toward Abilene, Brownwood, Brady, into portions of North Central Texas. That's really, again, at 30 or 40%. That's not the most likely scenario. The most likely scenario is obviously between 1 and 3 inches if you read the numbers. But again, we'll keep a very close eye on that. 1 inch of snow, on considering the roadways are fairly warm. 1 inch of snow. Impacts may be a little bit limited, may stick to grass, may stick to some overpasses and bridges, but an inch of snow usually around here doesn't do a ton when it comes to impacts. 3 inches of snow is where we start talking about a much more likely possibility of sticking to roadways and causing some real problems. And again, those chances are 30 or 40% at this point. It's not the worst case scenario. We do have some scenarios that are maybe 10 or 15% of more significant snowfall. That would be a bigger problem. But again, not the most likely, and that is something we'll be watching very closely as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Again, minor impacts for the most part for West Central Texas when it comes, especially to roadways. That's really the main area that we're talking about. Could have some minor impacts just about anywhere across the area. We start talking about where we have more moderate impacts. Again, that's mainly for road conditions, something more than just a bridge or a stray bridge or a stray overpass across the area. Again, low chance for any of these moderate impacts right now with what we're looking at in the forecast. That obviously was something we'll be updating continuously as we update our snowfall forecast. And if you are worried about road conditions across the area, stay tuned. We'll continue to keep you updated. And you may see these numbers and chances fluctuate as we get closer to the event. In fact, pretty much guaranteed that you will see these numbers fluctuate as we get closer to the event. But again, right now it doesn't look like chances, again, for moderate road impacts, only about 20%. So something we'll, again, be keeping an eye on. There's something we do want to take a quick look at as well. Let me switch tabs real quick. One of the things that we do look at and kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look at where we're getting some of these numbers. Again, we have 100-plus computer models across the area that we're kind of taking a look at. All of them slightly different. All of them maybe with slightly different scenarios all going on. They tend to fall into little groups. Again, 80% of them are falling toward a colder and wetter scenario, 20% dry and warm. But this is something that we can sort of take a look at, just sort of give you an idea of where we're getting some of these numbers. So what we have right here is a probability of 1 inch or more of snow through Friday morning, and we can do it by cities at this point. So Abilene, Ballinger, Brady, Brownwood, Haskell, Junction, Ozona, and San Angelo. You can see that the odds of an inch of snow, again, kind of what we saw earlier, 50 to 60% is what we're looking at. If you're concerned about, let's say, 2 inches of snow, we can make that adjustment as well and update that one. You can see 2 inches of snow goes down to 40 or 50%. We start talking about maybe 4 inches of snow if you're concerned about that. You can see the numbers start to drop down at 30 or 40%. So again, anything much above an inch or 2 inches, we start to see those chances drop down to less than 50%. So it's not the most likely scenario, but as we will continue to watch this, and as we get a little better feel for the forecast, some of the uncertainties go away, we start to pinpoint timing and location a little bit. This is something that we will be kind of keeping an eye on as well. We've been talking about snowfall, but we can't absolutely rule out the chance of some freezing rain as well. Take a look at some of our freezing rain probabilities. It's not, for those of you who've been around West Central Texas, even when we call for snow, there's almost always a little bit of sleet or freezing rain mixing in as well. Better chances of any type of freezing rain, though, accumulating enough, again, 1/100th of an inch. Really, we're talking about our southeast counties, where Brady and Junction are at 25 or 30%. So obviously, the snowfall forecast for them is a little bit higher, so snow is probably the bigger concern. But we also know that it just doesn't take much ice at all to create real problems. So this is something, again, we'll be keeping an eye on, and we are including a mention of some freezing rain in the official forecast, especially for the southeast counties, San Saba, Brady, Junction, Mason, back toward maybe Sonora, Menard as well. So we've been talking about snow, but we can't absolutely rule out some freezing rain possibilities as well. If you want to see the clusters, we've got some of that. I think we've already covered enough at this point, but if you've got some questions that you didn't get answered in our technical issue problem the first time around, again, post. We'll get you updated and get your answers to you. And we will probably call it a day for the moment. Make sure that we don't have any questions coming in. Looking at my people to see if we've got any questions coming in that haven't been answered. Looks like they've been answered, so this will get saved off, obviously, and posted on Facebook and YouTube. And we appreciate you standing by for our technical issues, and we'll continue to go from here. Thank you.